Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. The video topic, this is actually be a start of a series about earning a Filipina's respect. Earning a Filipina's respect. Now, in marriage, the husband is the head of the wife, and the Bible does say that she is to respect him, certainly to respect the authority that God has given him in that relationship. However, that respect still needs to be earned. It's kind of like when you go to work, you have a supervisor, you are to respect him, and you are to respect his authority, but if he's a jerk, you're going to have a hard time wanting to go to work, and it's going to be kind of it's not going to be a labor of love to work for him. So there are certain things that a husband must be able to do for his wife in order to help earn her respect. A lot of them are just very little everyday things, and so that's what this series is going to be about. One of them is to just tell her thank you, and tell her thank you often. Thank you for her house cleaning, keeping a nice house, her cooking. Thank her for being your wife. Thank her for doing the dishes. Thank her for intimacy. I thank my wife for that because I don't take it for granted, and she's a great lover, and I want her to know that I appreciate that. So big or small, you want to say thank you. The other day she bought some car covers online, since we're here in the Midwest of the United States, and that makes it easier in the morning to not have to go scrape your car, especially since I give her the garage and I get to be outside. So that was something that's useful, practical, and I thanked her for it. I thank her when she makes, breakfast, dinner, lunch, because I'm not much of a cook, and I really appreciate what she does. That she has a clean house, an organized house. The other day she just organized the storage room down here, and I hate clutter. I really like to get rid of things as soon as I can, and so it's a storage room, that's what it's for, but it looks nice because she's taken good care of it. Another way you can earn your Filipina's respect is to help her find a job. The main reason, sorry to say, the main reason she's here in your country is to help her family. Now, she wants to get married, she wants somebody to love her, and she'll make a great wife, but the reason she's going overseas to marry is because in her culture, the family is very, very important, and if you've married an older daughter, even if she's in her 20s, she's probably the one that's been providing for them. So that's just the way it is. If you want a great wife and you have to go across the world for her, just recognize that there's some dynamics in play here. It doesn't mean that she's not going to be a good wife to you, but she's going somewhere so she can provide for her family, and she'll be a great wife for someone. So hopefully that's you. So you have to respect that. Help her find a job. And we used a temporary agency because I was told that if I could get her in this particular temporary agency, then that department would hire her above other people because they like to take, friends and relatives of people that already work there. I'm talking about the place that I've worked for 37 and a half years. So I did that, and my wife got hired. Probably about 13 months later, she got hired permanently, and she's been permanent for, 6-7 months. She's got a couple raises, and she's doing very well there. So she's going to want to work. The only exception might be if you have a family of your own, and you would want her to stay home, and you're still working or able to provide for everybody, then that would be an exception. Otherwise, helping her find a job. Help her deal with homesickness. Now, in one sense, there's not a whole lot you can do because it's just hard getting over when you've left everyone and everything and you're so far away. But just you can help her by being patient with her. Help her by allowing her to spend as much time on social media with her family, with her friends, and try not to feel jealous because it's a big move. When my wife took 4 planes to get here and about a day and a half of travel, she probably had a lot of time to think about what she was doing and probably shed a few tears on those plane trips. Not that she doesn't love me, because she does. It's just hard to leave everyone and go that far away. So getting a job for her helps with the homesickness, keeping her busy doing fulfilling things. The last thing you want her to do is just sit at home and do nothing. That's going to be tough. And of course, spend as much time together as you can. Don't just revert back to being single. As her husband, she's going to really need to rely on you during this time to get off to a good start. And so you want to spend quality time with her. Another way to earn a Filipina's respect I thought of was just try not to make her an American or force her to be an American. And that might be with American food or American hobbies or liking the things that we do. I like college football. That's really big here where we live. They don't have football in the Philippines, so it's just been impossible for her to really like football. Sports is a big part of the culture here in Nebraska. In the Philippines, it's basketball and volleyball and boxing. So I can't force her to get into what we get into here. In time, she may learn to like it, but we'll just have to see. Try not to emphasize to her, well, you're in a first world country now, because Filipinos have pride, and it's not her fault. She was born in a third world country, and she loves her family in the Philippines, but there's some bad parts about it too, which would cause her to want to leave. But it's not going to go well to just emphasize that first world, third world. I know my wife does not like that. Try to find Asian restaurants and places to buy Asian food. There's one Filipino restaurant around in the area, but it's like 200 miles away. And one of these days, we're going to go there for lunch, even if it's just to lunch, and come back. It'd be a nice little road trip for lunch, but I'm sure she would appreciate something like that. Another way to earn the respect of your Filipina is to help her find friends, or at least encourage it. This is something I started as soon as I got back from our marriage. Called my pastor, since he would know a lot more people than I would, and said, "Pastor, do you know any Filipinos, any Filipinas, any foreigners married to Filipinas?" And he thought of one right away, and I contacted this person by email, introduced myself, told him what I wanted. I wanted to know if could introduce my wife to his wife, and we did, and they become friends. I think they might be spending time together today, actually. And they had us over to their place several times, to watch some really good movies on DVD and eat, and we've had them over to our place to eat. So that's really worked out well, and this woman has been what I wanted her to be to my wife, and that's a good influence to her. Also, and this is something you just have to do, you may have waited like I did for a long time for a wife, and she's finally here, but she's still going to need other people to have time with. I wouldn't try to dominate her time. She does need women to be a good influence on her, so that's an unselfish thing to do. Allowing her plenty of space to communicate with her family, like I alluded to earlier. This could take, who knows, several hours a day. And this was something I had to learn to bite my lip on earlier and just try to be understanding. I would be doing the same thing if I was in her shoes, except I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have gone that far away because I guess I'm too selfish, or it's just too uncomfortable. I don't know, but I respect her for doing it, and she's going to want to spend a lot of time early on Facebook or whatever means of social media, and that will diminish over time. But initially, you'll earn her respect by just letting her spend that extra time with her family. Now, if possible, communicate a little bit with her family yourself. If they can speak decent English, then that will really earn her respect. If you say hi to her family and chat a little bit, ask about her family and remember things. Now, I do this because it helps us to have things to talk about. If I can say, well, how's your brother doing, or how's that situation with your sister or your cousin, or how are things back home, and so on, and that's a good thing. I think that will really be a good way to earn her respect. Keep up with her family, communicate with her about it. Another way, small ways, have a picture of her or many pictures of her in visible places so she can see that it means something to you. I have her on my screenshots at work. I have different places I work. Each computer has a screenshot of her, my phone, the computer here at home, pictures in my locker. I've got her picture there too when I open up the door. So she's always on my mind, partly because I have her photo everywhere. But the fact that she knows that, and she knows that other people know it, I think is a good thing and a way to earn her respect. Also, encourage giving money to her family and help if you can. So this is a pretty important one. If you can help, and I think you should if you have any means, because if you've been to the Philippines, if you've seen what it's like, it can be shocking, and your perspective will change. So if you can't help at all, certainly having her get that job, allowing her to send as much back home as possible will earn her respect. And my wife, after a while, told me she doesn't want me to help anymore. I've done all I have to. She works 50 hours a week. She's working right now. That's why it's a good time to tape videos when she's not here. And I don't tell her how much to send. I don't put a limit on it. I let her decide what makes sense, because she was the one that lived there for 26 years before she got here as my wife. Now there are times when I do want to help. It could be birthdays or just because, and she appreciates that, but she doesn't ask me to help, and we really haven't had any trouble with the financial part of it. Also, let her know that she can go back to the Philippines as often as she needs to if you have the money for this. It may be a funeral or something like this. I don't know. But in my mind, I know that there may be times when all of a sudden it's going to be important for her to go, and I don't want her to feel trapped here, so that's something she can do. Also, let her try different things at home or anywhere to see if she has a knack for those type of things. Now, thankfully, my wife is very, I would call it mechanically inclined. I definitely am not mechanically inclined, so if something breaks, she's just automatically tries to fix it herself. And she does a good job of those things. She handles all the computer stuff here. If the TV isn't working because something's wrong with the cable, she'll get that fixed. We moved in. We bought our mom's house, so she lives with us, and it's kind of a Filipino thing. And if she needs something with the cable or something fixed, Isaac can fix that. She handles all of that stuff. She's really remarkable with that. Even on her job, I encourage her to try different things too that she might be a little shy to try, because I want her to discover what's inside of her that hasn't come out yet that she's good at. Because there are going to be things that she discovers, and like learning how to drive. My wife was a really good driver. She didn't drive in the Philippines. She was afraid to, and I understand that if you've been there. But she's a good driver, and that's really good for me. Because she can drive wherever she wants and help us out. And now that I don't have to drive her everywhere, that does free up a lot of time. And that's actually the next thing on my list, teach her how to drive. It's not always necessary in the Philippines, because you just kind of thumb a ride out there and pay 7-8 pesos and get a ride wherever you need to go. And over here, though, if you just look outside, there's no jeepneys driving around or scooters driving around waiting to take you somewhere. So you almost, the cabs are expensive, buses, that can be a hassle. So, if you can teach your wife how to drive, that will win a lot of points with her. So those are just some ways. There are a lot more of earning your Filipina's respect. So stay tuned for part 2 on Love Beyond the Sea.